Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Halloween Cribs, a weekly series part of Hallo'Boogie, in which we interview folks with Halloween and horror-related collections. This week, we are joined by MRS member, articleist, and all-around fantastic person, Mr. Michael Welch.
Hey,
Mike,
everybody.
how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm very happy I was happy and looking for stuff to bring to the show today. I found more than I expected, so that was a good memory lane.
Absolutely. That's been a common thing I find where people are like worried about what they have, but then they find out, oh man, I got a lot of cool stuff. So so yeah, where would you like to begin?
Well, I set up a handy table full of a lot of books next to me, so I might as well start there. Books and other small things.
Okie dokie. Cool.
So I'm going to start with the two oldest books in my collection, which were actually my sister's books that I ended up also falling in love with. Some of the Norman Bridwell books. There's one, Monster Jokes and Riddles.
Ooh.
Yes. And, I was maybe 4 years old when, I started to get into these. And, it's just books of silly jokes and incredible artwork.
That is incredible. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And it's just so silly that, it's going to grab a 4-year-old. And this and Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein were my introduction to horror movies and monsters. And, this is how I found out about Universal Monsters. I didn't know what they were called. I didn't know there was Universal anything. It's just, that's how I found out about it, through these books. I mean, what did the Frankenstein monster do on Mother's Day? He sent a dozen roses to the electric company. That's just fabulous. So there's that one. And then even better, for someone who loves the holidays, as I do, is Monster Holidays, also by Mr. Bridwell.
Nice.
Yes.
And is that one various holidays along with Halloween?
Yes, it sure is. It is everything. In fact, I will show you my favorite. Were I to get another tattoo, it would probably be this Christmas one of all the guys. It's great, Santa-esque. So, I mean, I've written about, my sister and I in the back of our AMC Hornet car, which is a very hatchback car, and her reading me these and showing me the pictures, with my Lando Calrissian figure. Like, those are memories that you can't beat, especially as you get older. So that's Mr. Bridwell. He's most famous for Clifford the Dog.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but for me, that's where it's at.
Yeah, definitely. I can.
Yeah.
That is all due respect to Clifford the Dog, but that's definitely significantly cooler.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see, what else do we have? Also on the childhood thing, there is my mom's copy of Salem's Lot.
Whoa, that's awesome.
That's the TV novelization version. And in the middle it has, let's see if I find a good one. It has like 8 pages of stills from the movie.
Nice.
And this is significant to me because when my sister and I would act up, because we were very afraid of the vampire, she would take this book and go, "Do you want me to show you the pictures?" And we'd be, "No, and, we'll be good." And it worked every time. So that was, most of what I'm going to show you today is very sentimental. It's from that aspect. It's not, I have some cool stuff that, might be like worth money or whatever. Not very much. Most of it is sentimental stuff. And I think that's really what keeps fandom in your heart is to be sentimental, not to, be in it for, look what cool thing I have that's going to be worth money down the line. It's what lives in my heart.
Right.
So that's most of what you're going to see today. And then
Those are the best kind of collections.
That's right. In the same vein, my mother's also her copy of The Stand. Oh, glare.
Oh, nice. Part of today's Scary Stories to Tell on Sundays reading.
Yes, absolutely. This is the edited version. The original version, I should say. Because when this first came out, the publisher thought it was too long, so they made King edit it because the current version it's over 1,000 pages, and that's the original. That's what he wanted to put out way back when, and they made him cut out a couple hundred pages or so, because they thought people wouldn't pay the cover price for it. So that's this version was the original version. So, it's my favorite book. I mean, sentimentality for my mother. And, I've told the story before, but for anyone who may not know, I had the worst freshman year high school experience possible in terms of, bullying. And my dad had a heart attack on Christmas Day. And it was a rotten year, and when summer came, the last thing I ever wanted to do was go back. I was so traumatized right into the summer. There was like nothing going on for me. And I was listening to Among the Living by Anthrax. And Among the Living is about this book. And I knew she had it. So I said, let me just pick it up and try to read. I like horror, mostly movies. I wasn't really reading back then. And so I picked it up and I just couldn't stop. And then all the time reading was not thinking about what's going to happen when I go back to school. It's not, it wasn't anything like that. So I just read and read and read all summer. And this was the kickoff. And then during that summer in 1990, is when he put out his original version back again, like the full complete version. So I was about 3/4 of the way through. I stopped this, got that book, read that one start to finish so I could have the complete thing. But then he mentioned that when he took stuff out of that to make this, he had to write like some kind of filler parts to connect pieces. So I'm like, well, there's other stuff in here I haven't read. So I had to go back to where I finished on this and read the rest. So I basically read it twice in the same summer.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I had to, yes. So this book means a great deal to me in either format. So I definitely had to include that today.
Well, it leads to the question, which do you prefer? The original intent, the longer cut, or the original issue, we'll call it the theatrical cut, the short version?
I'll take the full version any day.
Yeah?
Yeah, like this one, I won't read this one again, but I'll read the other one anytime. Because it's 200 pages to cut out, that's significant.
Right.
And, and there are, significant character developments that are missing in this one. So this one's for the sentimentality. The other one is for the story.
Gotcha.
Like in today's Scary Stories to Tell on Sundays, that preface that I read is not in this.
What? Oh, yeah. Dude, that was a great part.
Yeah, it just starts with that second part at the gas station. And that's how the book starts. So, that's the kind of content that you're missing.
Oh man, I don't want the whole interview to be about that opening, but like it like the gap in time between when they leave, like when he goes AWOL with his family and then when he crashes at the gas station, And like the fact that they're just deteriorated
Yeah.
like they did, and you're like, what happened? What
Yeah.
happened? It's like that was just such a great opening. Like
Yeah.
personally, I have not read The Stand, for full disclosure, and I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
The fact that that wouldn't be in there is just preposterous. Yeah.
Yeah. And, picture me, what, a 14 or so year old kid reading that. It's, my first real horror novel. And I was just blown away. And I was also blown away. I didn't know at that age, I didn't know that you could swear in novels. I thought, like, surely they'd be censored, or that's just what I thought. And so when I first started to get to the swearing, I would laugh. That was my reaction, and I kept laughing. And my dad was so mad because he was trying to watch TV, and I'm just laughing next to him. And he said, "What the hell?" So that's I learned a lot that summer. Let's see what's next. Here's my kitty.
What's up, Romero?
He doesn't like to be held, but I had to show him to you. Oh, all right.
He says hi.
He did, yes. I'll keep on. I'm sorry, I have a lot of books in my collection, so I have a lot of books to show you, but we'll get up and walk around in a little bit if that's all right.
No, that's perfectly fine. Every collection is its own personality, as I like
Yes.
to put it.
Okay. So next up, how could we do anything without Mr. Barker? So The Hellbound Heart. That's my first Clive Barker novel. And I did read it after seeing Hellraiser. So I saw the movie first, and then I watched the first two Hellraisers in one night, and they made me buy the book. So it kind of had the reverse effect of a lot of ways. And this story, well, I met him and he signed it, which you can maybe see that it's kind of faded. And he was unhappy with it, so he signed it again. He signed it again on the inside because he was personally unhappy with how it came out. So I thought that was cool that he signed it a second time.
That is cool. That's awesome of him.
Yeah, and this goes to show, like, they don't make paperback covers like this anymore.
No,
and I don't know if you can see it, but it's an embossed cover. You can kind of see around the head, the glare, maybe kind of sees the rays in it.
Yeah, and that cover art is just phenomenal.
Yeah. And then, bam, it's like two covers in one. It's just a great cover and a great book, and a relatively short book. There's also an audiobook. I should have pulled that out. It's the only time Barker read his own story for an audiobook. Yeah, it is abridged, unfortunately, but just to listen to him, especially back in 88 maybe, reading it, young, fresh-faced Clive Barker reading. His voices for the Cenobites are much different than you might expect. They're just kind of monotone and icy, and in the film, obviously they have some inflection. That's better cinema. But yeah, he had a totally different take on them. So when I did my reading, the Barker reading I didn't know what kind of voice to do for Pinhead. So I tried to kind of do both. And I don't know, maybe it succeeds, maybe it doesn't, but I tried.
We'll let the listeners decide. I think that'll be our last reading of the month of October. So
it's going to be good.
It is, yeah.
So one quick story about this book here is in 93, 94, I was working at the movie theater fresh out of high school, fell totally in love with this girl who had come home from the summer from college, and we got on like gangbusters. It was, one of the best relationships I've had, with a person. And then she went back to school and she came home to visit once, and we got together, went to a bookstore. I showed her this book and I was like, hey, this is what I'm reading right now. and she said, "Why do you bother with that trash?" And I never saw her again. It, I can deal with differences of opinion, but just jumping right to destroying it. She was a Shakespeare person, which is great. Did not Shakespeare write a whole bunch of horror stuff?
She obviously did not read Macbeth, or at least closely.
Right. It's just the way she said it. And and there was other stuff too that had kind of changed. She was kind of a different person in school, so yeah, we just really didn't see eye to eye on that. So I chose to stay with Mr. Barker.
Probably better for it.
Yeah. All right, moving on. So while we stay with the sentimental stuff, I just wanted to show you the very first Jack Ketchum book I ever bought off season, which is his debut novel, and it's probably the best cannibal story that one could find. I bought it from him at the second Rock and Shock I went to, so that was 06. And I didn't know who he was. I had seen him the year before, but I didn't buy anything because it was my first show and I didn't know what I was doing. So I was like, let me take a chance on this guy because he's an author. Let me support him and I'll try it. And that changed my life because, I had a great show friendship with him. And all he, is nothing major, just here's my firstborn is the inscription, and because it's his first book, and Mr. Ketchum, and by the end, I look at it like when I met him, he was Jack, and then by the last time I saw him, he was Dallas. So I was on a first real name basis with him, and just a wonderful, wonderful man. And as you probably have noticed, I try to get in Jack Ketchum references as much as I can because I think everybody should read him as an author, and I got to support my friend.
Absolutely. And then if people want to check him out, who haven't heard of him, we do have, you read 2 Jack Ketchum stories, our first Scary Stories reading, which is on YouTube right now, so definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, one fiction and one nonfiction, and yeah, he's just a really grisly and straightforward, punch you in the face writer, and I think that's what the world needs sometimes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, let me see what's next. I got a few more books, but I'm going to switch to a couple of DVDs.
All right.
So
the first appearance of movies on Cribs.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So this, I'll just show you. This is the 4-disc Dawn of the Dead signed by Mr. Romero. Mr. Romero, who I named my cat after, and we have the Midnite Romero Society. So we all have a really soft spot in our hearts for this man.
Mm.
I chose this because the autograph looks so nice on the black background.
Absolutely, dude. And his signature was just so good.
Yeah. And always that stay scared. This, and I got this too he was doing a free signing at Newbury Comics in Harvard Square. And I was working at Newbury Comics in Dartmouth. So I went down, and not only was he doing the signing, but he was doing a free screening of Survival of the Dead right before it came out at the Brattle, right across the street. So I was there, Rashid was there, Athena was there, a bunch of folks that we know were there. And it was just a really great night. So I thought I'd, have a memento of that. And yeah, this was a great time. And he was one of the greatest people that, we both had the pleasure of working with.
Absolutely. Such a great guy. He getting emotional because he was a fantastic fellow. He really made you feel welcome. When I worked with him at Rock and Shock when he was there, it was just a phenomenal time and experience, life changing, if you will. It was just heartbreaking that he passed, but he lives on in his work. And that particular piece you have there, that Ultimate Edition, is quite the collection.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, you know, and this is kind of like I was saying earlier, like this would probably worth a decent amount of money because it's out of print and whatever. I don't care. Like I have an unsigned one that I was just using for watching purposes, and I don't care. I don't want money. I just want the memories. Because, you know, you spend money faster than you spend memories. You know, the only thing that's going to take my memory away is senility or death. And, you know, I can throw money at, you know, take out food that I don't really need. So I'll keep my memories over my money.
Yeah. Amen.
There's that. One more DVD because I thought it was funny.
Okay.
I don't even know what language this is in, but I have a this language version of Devil's Rejects. Oh, glare.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it's Czech or I don't know what it's region 2, so it falls in that category.
Hmm.
And I've never played it, but I it'd be interesting to see what it, you know, to see how the subtitles are, or how the dubbing is. But yeah, I just thought that was funny. Mosley would always sell weird versions of his movies, weird like foreign language versions. I have a House of a Thousand Corpses that I couldn't find quickly. That is also, it's like in a CD paper sleeve. It's like not a lot of money went into the production of it. But yeah, he would always sell really wacky stuff at his table. So I picked that up.
Nice. Yeah, it's those are always interesting because of the variations on cover art. Um, it's always interesting what marketing approaches different countries take.
Yeah, and what you can get away with that you can't get away with in the States.
Mm.
But I find, like, you know, a lot of poster art for other countries is you know, cooler in a way, but also way more grisly than what we can have here, because everything's so slick. And, you know, the days of the American cool movie poster are gone unless it's an indie film, and that's unfortunate.
It definitely is. It's like in marketing, the collage of people who star in the movie is definitely a staple and a standard in America. Whereas if you look at more towards Europe, they do a lot more illustrative work, which I personally think is cooler
Right,
and captures the essence of the movie significantly better. Because sometimes it's not just it's the stars tend to be secondary to the atmosphere,
right.
but Americans like faces, so
Right. All right, so keeping with the Devil's Rejects theme that we were just on. Again, this is one of those things. I actually, just for kicks, I looked it up. I went on eBay just before we started, and the cheapest copy of this is going for $140.
mm.
And I don't care. Like I just don't. I don't care. I'd rather have it. This is the Devil's Rejects director's script hardcover book.
Whoa, I
Yeah,
haven't seen that before.
right. I only saw it in the catalog, like the Diamond catalog for comics, and it was solicited in there from whoever published it, NECA. Oh, NECA Toys, so they published the book. And I ordered it through my comic shop back in the day, and that's the only time I've ever seen it available. But yeah, it's that, and it's the shooting script, so it also has deleted scenes and whatnot. some alternate dialogue, and then like some cut stuff and photos.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. So, this is, and Devil's Rejects and Hellraiser are always, flip-flopping for my favorite horror movie. So it's really cool to have this little collectible. It's got artwork, storyboard stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I really dig this book. I had a friend who, the only other person I know that has one of these, I have a friend who was getting this signed, at shows from the cast members, and she had a sign from Deborah Van Valkenburg, and she wanted one of them so bad. And it's one of those things like, and I was even thinking, I'm like, well, if she came to Rock and Shock, would I give her my copy because she wanted one? And I'm glad I didn't have to, cross that line.
Mm.
So, plus it's not like I knew her either at the same time, but that, I just wanted to show you that because it's something that you don't see a lot.
Yeah, like I've never seen that before, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's still limited, but
yeah, I don't know if they just, did like a print to the orders and not much over, or I don't know what the deal was, but yeah, it's not easy to see.
yeah. I don't know. I find like with Zombie, they are like most publishers are very conservative. A great example being 3 from Hell, where it was like the limited screenings and like not a wide release, even though like I talked to Bill Moseley about it, and he said that they did really well. They made their money back, and they probably would have made more if they did a wider release. But whatever. I don't know. Corporate suits are always conservative, so whatever.
Yeah, and I think 31 was his smallest budget. I don't know if it was like $2 million or something crazy, and he filmed it in 20 days, and like, and you can see it on the screen. Like there's, you get what they had the money for. I know I still like the movie. It's definitely, lacking from something like The Devil's Rejects, but I like anything that Zombie does, but it's unfortunate. Even that played one night in the theater, and it's like, if you missed it, you missed it. So, but I am glad we have like Fathom events now, and you get a little bit more access to stuff like that. We got 3 nights of 3 from Hell, so instead of the 1, so it's better than nothing.
It opens up the scheduling a little bit more.
Right. All right, I have 2 more books, and then we can move on to some other 3-dimensional things. Romero's attacking me. All right, so I'm showing this because I love her, but also because of the story I have for it. So this is Elvira's coffee table book. It is gigantic. I'm not even making a pun. It's just full of, great pictures. That's the entire book. She's working on a biography, which I'm very excited to read. But this book this book was put out by a company that makes like models and high class figurines and things like that, statues. So they did an Elvira one, and then they worked together and did the book. Since they're not used to handling books, it took forever to get. There was like, they didn't know really how to produce a book because they're used to statues. So it took forever and ever to get. Finally came. I had to write them because people were posting that they were getting their books, and I was waiting. So they never shipped mine, and then they finally shipped it. So fast forward like a couple of years, she went to Monster Mania, in Jersey. I went there to look for vendors for Rock and Shock. And it was the show that was so overcrowded it got shut down. And that's the day I was there. I drove overnight so I could get there first thing in the morning and then do my business and then go home. That was the original plan. That's a lot of driving, a lot of, So I ended up staying with a friend overnight in the hotel, and then going back in the morning, which saved me a lot of, potential accidents. But while, it was good that I had gotten into the show, because during the day they stopped letting people in, and the lines for autographs were so long outside in the cold in March. It was still like the winter side of spring kind of thing. I can't remember who the headlining guests were or anything like that, because I didn't even care. Like I didn't even have to meet her that day, but I wanted to, especially once I realized I wasn't going home. So they had her and Pee Wee Herman in their own ballroom, and the wait was about 2 hours, and the heat inside the room was stifling. It was just a horrible soup in the room. Like, she went to lunch. That's part of why we had to wait so long. So that was like an extra hour. Someone needed paramedics while we were waiting, because they were like passing out in the room. And this is just a hotel ballroom in New Jersey. But madness was breaking out. We were packed so tight that there was really no privacy, no comfort, no breathing air. Everything was a soup. But when you got up and finally met her, you've met her. She's the most gracious person, and still was, even after all that. And I gave her this book, and we talked about it a little. She's like, "Oh, I'm so glad you." I didn't even tell her the story, but she's like, "I'm so glad you put up with all of the wait for that book." Yeah, because it was great. So it was a lot of work to get this book and get it signed and whatnot. I might as well show you the autograph. And this is another one where the autograph looks great on the page.
Ooh.
Silver pen on that black background, that's fabulous.
I feel like Elvira has bad luck with trying to get things produced.
Yeah. Agreed.
Be it her TV show, her next movie, and her book, which is unfortunate, because if there's one thing this world needs, it's more Elvira.
Right.
Yeah.
There is the she is doing her presidential bid right now.
Really?
Not really, but she has like presidential merchandise out on her website right now. It's pretty funny.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. There's like a bat pin that's red, white, and blue, and it's like Elvira 2020 or something like that.
Nice. All right.
Yeah, but it's fun.
She has my vote. So.
She definitely knows how to stay relevant. Decades later, she's just like she always was.
Yeah, absolutely. She's definitely a go-getter.
All right, one more book.
All right.
And this book is, out of everything I own, every collectible I have, this is my favorite everything. This is put this in my casket. If there's a hurricane, I'm putting it in my backpack when I have to evacuate. This is that item.
Yeah.
And this is, I'll just show it to you first. So,
ooh.
And it's quote unquote just a Clive Barker art book. But I met him, the first time I met him, as I told you before, was the greatest day of my life, for how it was and how he was as a man. but I was still kind of naive. I didn't bring like personal items because it was like my bag was crammed so bad. I flew, where did I meet him? Indianapolis, I believe. Yes, Indiana. It was one of those, I didn't think I could fit more in my bag kind of thing to bring this big bulky hardcover. So I just got like 8x10s and whatever. And, so the only other time I met him was when I figured, all right, I'm going to bring something that I really care about. So I figured I'd bring him the art book. And then, I hoped against hope that maybe he'd do a little doodle in it. And I waited 3 hours, I think, to meet him. Because the second time I met him was in LA and he lived right down the street. So that was a weird show because so many people lived right down the street and the vibe was so weird. One day I'll get to it and writing an article for it. But he was late, probably because he was painting, which is great. It's a great excuse. Because when he showed up and there was like dried paint on his hands and like on his clothes. He's like, all right, let's go.
Artistically late.
Right. So like the first time I met him, it was kind of a different scenario where you could get like a picture with him, whatever. This time it was no pictures, not his rule. It was, the show's rule or the manager's rule or, whoever makes those rules. He didn't really break the photo rule, but one of them was like no sketches, but then he did do sketches and I'll show you my sketch. Whoa.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that took, and it took him 15 seconds or less to do that. But to me, that's everything, and to watch him do this, it was just mesmerizing. Because he was happier to do this, I think, than I was to receive it. He had a big smile on his face while he's drawing this. And, and it's a little dude. And I love how the little skeleton guy is like his brain.
Yeah.
And so I ended up getting, not the sketch, but the actual skeleton guy tattooed on me. And that's why, because it's in this sketch, part of the sketch now. And like people will look at it and like, why'd you get that? And blah, blah, blah. It's not, well, one, it's not for you to care. But that's why, because it's the piece in it's like the dude's brain, and I love it.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I die, now you have it on record. If I'm cremated, cremate this with me.
Okie dokie. And a credit to his genius is just like taking something that pre-existed, like the skeleton guy, and then just being like, oh, I can make this into a brain.
Yeah, he had so much fun drawing in that. And that was a show for him where they wanted you to move through fast, but if he wants to talk to you, he's going to talk to you. He spends a lot of time with fans, and that's part of why I love my encounters with him so much. And he's just a person. He is zero celebrity in him at all. He cares more about your story than about his, and he'll just ask you questions and just be the greatest guy. Like, there's so much sunshine inside him. But
That's surprising considering his subject matter.
Yeah, isn't it amazing?
He just lets it all out, and then what's left is the sunshine.
Right. Oh, you can see Romero attacking me. He's vicious. So yes. So that's what I had for my little camp section here. So now I can get up if you want and show you some other fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I got a little bit more to show you.
I look forward to it. Edge of my seat.
Okay. So I wanted to show you some collectible stuff. Here's my Halloween setup. This is my new guy. And they're so happy. Everybody's happy. The kitty's happy. I love happy Halloween stuff. But these are the two pieces I wanted to show you the most. One thing, I have zero idea when this was made. There's no copyright on it, but it's amazing. I think it's very. Let me see if I can find more light. No, that's not working. Like I said, it's amazing.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
Is it like multicolored ghosts?
Yeah, multicolored ghosts. This guy has a beard. So it's like ghost with a beard. So he's me. I don't know, this dude, it's like a bunch of ghosts haunting this skeleton or coming out of this skeleton. And it's just fantastic. I got this at Billy Boy Candies before they shut down.
That's awesome. What is Billy Boy Candies?
Oh, you never, they were in New Bedford for the longest time, for like decades and decades, and they finally closed down with Corona.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That recent, huh?
Yeah, well, they were planning to close before that, but then that made them shut down earlier.
Gotcha.
But I'm like, why does a candy store have this? And it did, so I bought it. And then this is my newest acquisition. So yeah, it's, just I saw it on one of those Instagram pages that sells vintage Halloween stuff, and it just grabbed me, this little golden specter with a bunch of skulls inside it, like it's his family or something. So again, don't know how old it is, don't know if it was mass produced or not, but it's part of my family now.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Yeah.
And just on an Instagram find too, that makes it even better. Finding
right. So that's that. And otherwise, everything else is super cool. It's just, I've gotten within the past couple of years at like Michael's and whatever. So that's I don't know if you probably can't see it. That's the coffin Jenny made for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's down there. I got other stuff. Let me see. This here monkey. He's from he's from the 1950s. And I love things that aren't meant to be terrifying, but they're so terrifying. And he still works too, but I'm not going to play him. I don't want to.
It'll haunt my dreams.
Yeah. If I break him, he'll come after me. All right. And so Headless Horseman stuff, because I love them.
Mm. But
now I'm going to show you someone you've met before. It's Jibbers.
Jibbers. How's it going, buddy?
He doesn't, he hates everyone. So, so I have, as you can see, my Christmas stuff next to my Halloween stuff. And Jibbers sits on the fence in between because he's clearly a demon, but he masquerades as a Christmas guy. And just like when we met, which was at your house, he's still holding his hair, because when he was given to me by Coop and Kaya, he had all of his hair, and in the course of the night he lost half of it, which is in his hands, and the other half is still attached by a couple of strands in the back, much like my hair. And now I'm not going to get him to sit, so I'm just going to put him here so he can. He's causing havoc as he does, but he's so ass heavy. Like, you got to balance him just right. He's being so bad right now. But like, look at those eyes, man.
They're piercing.
Yeah.
And he's more terrifying because he has a rat tail.
And just, oh man, his only love is his hair that he's holding. So yeah.
Life.
Yes. So I just had to show that to you again and say hello to Jibbers is still hanging on. And now we're gonna move quickly to the other wall. There's a bunch of movies I haven't watched. There's Skeleton and a Zombie with my cool Land of the Dead hat.
Mm.
Vinny gave me that.
Shout out to Vinny. Vinny, I
Yep.
miss you.
There's my parents, a little memorial to them. So this here Hellraiser painting, which is a Purple Rain mashup.
That's amazing.
Yeah, Emily did that for me for I think Christmas one year. She painted that for me. So that's fantabulous.
It is. Emily Nahr, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, Emily Nahr. She's great.
Yeah, she is fantastic. So this is a painting by Adrienne King.
Oh, yeah.
This is the one I wrote about in my last article. So yeah, that is what I stared at all weekend from Malcolm McDowell's table. I was like, I have to have this. It's so good.
It is.
Like she didn't need to be an actress. She could have been a painter. But she's great at both.
She is, and now she's like a wine savant, right? Making wine labels.
Yeah, she can do anything. So yeah, so I got that from her at Rock and Shock, and she is the sweetest. And then I'll show you this. Gotta go this way again. Sorry.
Clive Barker.
That's my Clive Barker original. And it's so bizarre and so great.
So much going on.
There's a lot happening. Somebody that worked on the Nightbreed director's cut was selling a bunch of his Clive stuff to finance the movie he wanted to make. So I jumped on this because it's just so out there. And I love Clive when he does those big round eyes with like the little white pupil. I don't know. I love them. I think they're kind of cute. Like they bring some cuteness into the horror. I don't know. I just really like them.
Yeah, it definitely draws you in, whereas some things are like scare you away. He's good at like that give and take, that push and pull.
Yeah. I love it. I love his little upside down triangle head. I don't know. And then I got another Clive print next to it. This was so that's actually my favorite piece of his artwork, and I have that tattooed on me too. But again, it's the depth of the eyes. Like they just seem like they go on forever, and the bat wings and the smile, it just all works so well.
It does. And what was is this just this an original piece or?
Yeah, it was to promote the Clive Barker archive. So it was like, a $5 thing, no big deal. But I just loved the piece so much. I wanted to have it.
Nice. It's a great piece to have.
Yeah. And then I've got that's another print, certainly nothing original, but I just enjoy that. Yeah. When I was in 5th grade, maybe, when we had dead time in school, the teacher would let us have free time, and I would draw 2 towers on each side of the paper, and I would have like a single line that would like be fighting back and forth between them, and it would just keep bouncing back and forth. It was kind of like whatever that video game was where you had to keep hitting the ball back and forth.
Was it Pong?
Pong, yes. It was kind of like a Pong, and this reminded me of that, so I wanted to have it. But other than that, I've got this is my mask wall, and I've got this little Mexican guy. He's very cool. Again, apologies for the lighting. And this is from our friends at Wicked Wall Masks.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
That was the first year at Rock and Shock, right?
Yep. And also our friends at I Think I Created a Monster made that. So I've got those next to each other to remember those good times, which as you may or may not know, the last Rock and Shock was 1 year ago this weekend.
Yeah, rest in peace.
In peace, absolutely. Darth Vader, we all know who he is. Misfits mask. Then I've got some Universal Monster stuff. This was another gift from Emily. This is a vintage Ben Cooper.
Ooh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
And it glows in the dark, which is great. As she told me the story, her boyfriend at the time didn't think I would like this, and I'm like, he's crazy. I live for vintage masks, so like, why wouldn't I like this? So that's cool, and it's kind of like, it's almost like the nose is like dirty. It's like it's some bulbous naughty bits going on. I don't know, but the feet come right out of it too, so I guess that ruins it. Um, my Spidey costume, again, of Ben Cooper, and he's underneath him is one of the those skeletons. Skeletons
awesome.
wearing it. Spider-Man is my favorite superhero, but I was afraid of this costume as a kid because I don't know if, because he looks kind of menacing in the mask. So despite him being my favorite, I was afraid to wear it. So but hey, I've now got it on my wall. Road Warrior Animal, rest in peace.
Autographed too.
Autographed, yes. There's a hawk out there too, but it's super hard to find, especially now. But yeah, I just wanted to show you that. Some stuff you could get at Michael's, and those were from Walmart. Just some nothing too vintagey. Clive Barker again.
That is sick.
Yeah, he did a line of Halloween costumes one year called Dark Bazaar. And this was one of the masks from it. There was a costume too, but you could buy the mask separately. And I found this at a costume shop years later when we were buying my Santa suit for You Better Watch Out, when we were going to film that. So that was a good find. And then he also, that same line, he put out some paper masks that you could get. So he did the art and the design for the whole line. And then I don't know what company, I can't remember, put them out. Paper masks are actually the paper masks I got from Meg from Fiona's Fright Shop.
Hey.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of Rock and Shock connections. Bam. Do you know what that is? Kind of a trick. Only you and Jenny would know. I don't even know if you knew. I don't know if you saw it.
I know Jenny made a bunch of skulls. Is that one of them?
Yeah, she gave this to me, the Rock and Shock that you guys met.
All right, yeah. She gave me a neon pink one, which I still have and hold dear. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So that means a lot. All right, and now, all right. So my last thing to show you is this 6 foot tall, which is where I live, is floor to ceiling, vinyl banner for Hellraiser Bloodline, which is, bam, there's the floor. So I love Bloodline. A lot of people don't. I think it's great. I think it could have been better if the studio actually cared about it when they stopped caring about it in production. I think it has some of Pinhead's greatest dialogue, and I like the story behind the history of the box. But yeah, this came when I was working at the movie theater. It was the only Hellraiser movie I got to see in the theater. And I was lucky enough to snag pretty much all of the promo stuff they sent us.
Nice.
Yes. I don't have the button anymore, or no, I do have the poster, the regular poster. But I have this banner. This banner was so big that when more people lived here, I had to have it on my ceiling in my bedroom. So that was the only, because it wouldn't fit. I don't have any walls on my bedroom because it's all like dressers and whatnot. So I had to put it on the ceiling for like 20 years. I would I would go to sleep with Pinhead above me. All right, turn off my flashlight. So that's what I wanted to show you today.
That's all fantastic. You have a great collection there, Mike.
Thank you very much. It's and you all have gotten to see in my home, which I don't think anybody's been in my home that isn't me in a long time.
Well, I appreciate you letting us in and showing us around. There's a lot of great stuff there, and even better, what's great about a good collection is that there's plenty of great stories behind them. So thank you for sharing all of that.
Absolutely. A lot of that, came from the heart, and I think that's where the greatest stuff should come from.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Mike, and thank you everyone for joining us. Once again, this is part of Hallo'Boogie, a virtual month-long Halloween celebration. We have more events coming up all the way through the end of October. To find out what those events are and more information about them, just visit Hallo'Boogie.com. I'll put a link in the description as well as at the bottom of my face right now. But Mike, thank you again. It was a huge pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you all for supporting the Midnite Romero Society.
Yes, absolutely. We're going to keep doing more stuff even after Hallo'Boogie. Stick around for those announcements. But until then, thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.